Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. It has been a while. I missed you guys. I hope you enjoyed the replays of your favorite shows and personalities over the holidays. So, I'm back with brand new shows and ready to kick this year off. So, thank you for joining me this year for Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox. As usual, get ready to continue this journey on Monday mornings, Thursday, and Friday afternoons. We're going to laugh and we're going to learn some more stuff. We're going to learn other viewpoints on relationships, information on health and fitness, investing, sex, and much, much more. Today, we're actually going to learn about breastfeeding your man. Ladies, we kicking it off with Samir Ali and his show on holistic health and healing. And he's kicking off the year with breastfeeding your man all the health benefits. Yep, you did hear that right. It's not just for babies. And then we're going to have Miss Elaine Gordon on, and she's going to share with us her life as an adult companion and the art of sensual massage. All right. If you want to participate on the show today, feel free to zoom in using the link that you can find on my Facebook page, Xavier Fox, or join the public Facebook group, Let's Talk About It with Xavier Fox, and get all the info. You can go to xavierfox.com/radio-show for the schedule of the month of January to see when your favorite personalities or topics is scheduled. So now let's get to it. Hey, Samir, Happy New Year.
Happy New
And how was
Excuse
your
me.
holidays?
They were fantastic. There's a bit of a bug going around, and surprisingly enough, I was one of the people who actually caught the bug. But it didn't last too long. I had a high fever, um, and then it burned off within the day. And now the lingering phlegm that comes with that is what I'm battling right now. So excuse my voice if I sound like I'm a little congested.
You know what? And it's funny because everybody has gotten something. Even Eric, the other guy who does personality, who does health and healing, he had it. I got it. Everybody I know has a cough and some phlegm. And
Right.
the
Yeah.
phlegm part seems to linger a little bit.
It lingers, and so what I'm doing is I'm taking lemon juice and ginger and apple cider vinegar to cut the mucus, and I have some mushrooms that are used for breathing easy, and grape juice. Grape juice is for the lungs, so pure grape juice helps you to breathe easier. So
Oh,
I'm dousing it with all the homemade remedies, back to nature type, approach, and it's working. I mean, at one point, it started with a sore throat, and then it's a cycle, and it's a pattern whenever I become sick with this particular virus. So it starts with a sore throat. So I take what peppermint oil. I might take a drop of peppermint oil and let it burn the back of my throat to burn the virus. Then I just start self medicating it with apple cider vinegar, the water, lemon. And then once it's chased out of my throat, it goes up to my head. Then I get a headache. I get dizzy, lightheaded. And then here comes the fever, the high fever. So then that burns off. And then it goes into my chest and turns into a cold. So I start to cough. So it's like I have to chase it from my throat, and then it goes to my head, from my head to my chest, and then out of my chest. And so I've chased pretty much the virus out, but like you said, the lingering phlegm is just
mm-hmm.
the phlegm just lingers for days. So,
And see,
but
I when I got it, so I started hitting it with the zinc, the elderberry, the vitamin C, and the vitamin D, and I also take the MSM. Mine,
exactly.
I didn't get the sore throat. I hit that with the apple cider vinegar immediately because you told me about that. I hit that
Right.
with apple cider vinegar. I didn't get the sore throat. I didn't get the headache. It went, I don't know where it actually went because it wasn't in my lungs. I guess it was kind of in my chest, but it wasn't really. I kind of went straight from just feeling like something was happening to having a cough and the phlegm. I
Yeah.
skipped all the rest of that part.
And it's interesting because as general maintenance, I take the vitamin C, the MSM, the vitamin D, and the zinc. And it was interesting because usually when you catch the cold, the flu, or pneumonia, or whatever, it's a lack of vitamin D in your bloodstream. So something real serious is going on that it bypassed my general maintenance of
Mine too.
vitamin C, MSM, and vitamin
Right,
D and my zinc.
right.
So this had to be like what I call a gangster code, because
It's a
even the
gangster
most
code.
right, because even the most healthiest people, like you say, Eric Prince, and I've heard his show before, and I know this brother is on top of it. You know, when you
Yep,
said that he missed the show because he had caught something, I'm like, oh, this is serious, because
yep. You know
because
what? And
he's one of the G's in the game, so he knows what to do and how to combat this stuff. And yeah, and I myself, so yeah, this is a gangster virus going on.
and me too. I've been in this for a while too. I don't, claim to be as well versed as you and Eric because you guys study continually. But I mean, for a
Oh
cold,
no, you a G,
I
you a G.
I know how to get rid of a cold. I know how to
Yeah,
avoid a cold. So this is what I think. I think that there is a stronger strain of the virus, and this our bodies, us as well, we have to develop an immunity to it. Our immune
that's
systems
correct.
are used to fighting what's been out here, but whatever is out here now is on a stronger level. So we got to upgrade our immunity system as well. It's all good
That's
though.
true.
It
It
ain't
is.
it ain't taking us out. It just got us with the phlegm.
Now, speaking of, it's interesting because this leads right into the topic of today. So you always notice that, and everyone knows this as common knowledge. So common knowledge is that usually babies that are breastfed, they don't catch colds as fast, or they don't catch colds at all while they're being breastfed. It's not until they stop being breastfed that they just start to develop, certain sicknesses, because there are certain antibodies that are transferred in that milk that prevent that baby from becoming sick.
Right.
So that same methodology, or that science behind, the creation of, what's in the breast milk itself, um, we were taught, and it wasn't until I came across, certain information, like, the information in the Bible, about, that eliminates this being a fetish or a pervertish, because it's part of the belief system. Now, of course, people say, the Bible was wrote by man, and there. So who's to say that that wasn't also something written by man, or whatever the case may be? But in either case, if from a scientific approach, if you study the elements of breast milk, it kind of makes sense. Um, like I said, breast milk kills prostate cancer cells upon contact.
That's pretty amazing.
Breast milk contains HGH, the human growth hormone. There are certain bodybuilders that have uh, an unfair advantage because they have access to breast milk. We know that there are over 300 different types of stem cells.
Mm.
A stem cell is a master cell. A master cell produces other cells when cells have burned out. So you generally have a stem cell or master cell in all of your major organs. You have stem cells in your liver, in your brain, in your kidneys, throughout your entire body. And their duty is to produce other cells that have burned out.
Okay.
All 300 stem cells are in breast milk.
Okay.
And so they spend millions of dollars on stem cell research and everything else. And I have this saying that breast milk can single handedly shut down the pharmaceutical industry and the medical society overnight. So The
That's a big
amazing,
statement right there.
yes, the amazing gift we have in our women that their bodies can produce milk. You know, it is phenomenal. There are over 400 elements in breast milk that scientists haven't even given names to.
Wow.
That's aside from the elements that they have named. There are 400 additional that they haven't even given names to because they haven't even figured out what they do.
Wow.
So when it comes to breast milk, um, it is the fountain of youth. If I was to put it plainly, it's the fountain of youth. Unfortunately, we live in a society or culture where that is not promoted. And you know, the powers to be, they know this because this is why they shun or discourage women from breastfeeding past 3 to 6 months
Right.
because they want everybody to become and grow up to be a medical bill.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
want you to be a medical bill. And so if you have been breastfed for 2 years, it will ensure that you have perfectly straight teeth
Mm,
because the sucking from the breast actually strengthens the gums to align the teeth when the baby starts to teeth.
okay.
It will ensure that that baby will not develop obesity or multiple sclerosis.
Hmm.
A woman who breastfeeds protects herself from endometrial cancer, cervical cancer, vaginal cancer,
Okay.
and
I'm feeling good about that.
and uterine cancer.
I breastfed two of them, for one for a year and one for 8 months. So I feel good about that then.
A daughter that was breastfed, even if she doesn't breastfeed, still will not develop obesity or multiple sclerosis.
So my youngest is doing good then.
Yes, she's doing very good.
So I
And
know that
so,
this. I got a question for you though. I know
sure.
that this show is not about breastfeeding babies actually. However, my question. So I was successful at breastfeeding. My youngest daughter has been very successful at breastfeeding. She is just now getting her oldest son off at 2 years, and she's about to have another one that she plans to breastfeed. So, however, there are women that are not successful at breastfeeding. They can't or don't produce enough milk. How is that difference in women?
Well, I will get into that. And so, when a woman is having difficulties breastfeeding, it could be a number of factors that vary across, you know, from person to person, from individual to individual. Thankfully enough, nature provides a solution for that. So, just like women who have trouble conceiving, royal jelly provides an alternative for that.
Royal jelly.
Royal jelly, if you're having trouble to conceive. Now, the thing about breastfeeding is that you can be incapable of having a child and you can still lactate.
Now that's where everybody gets thrown off because I when I
Yes.
mentioned this to somebody, they said you have to have a baby in order to
No,
produce breast
that is
milk.
that's not true. So the Native Americans, the grandmothers used to induce lactation in case the mother had trouble lactating to ensure that that baby was breastfed.
Wow.
And so we have certain herbs, they're called galactagogues. Galactagogues actually induce lactation. And anything that induces lactation also tightens the vagina.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So the number one herb that people use for lactation is fenugreek. Fenugreek. Fenugreek in capsule or powder form, if you want to take it in a smoothie, you want to take the capsules, and it will start to activate the mammary glands in the breast, and then you'll have what's called that let down feeling. But
Mhm.
granted, you need someone that's going to regularly uh, suck on the breast in order for that to happen. And it sends the signal to the to the body that, oh, this is going to be a regular thing. And if you have those herbs in your system, then it's going to convert all of your fat into breast milk because it uses the fat in a woman's body
Also, this
to
could be
make
a
milk.
weight loss as well.
Well, it burns 500 calories per session.
Okay.
It all it also increases a woman's bone density every time she lactates and breastfeeds. And women develop osteoporosis in their later years because they have a menstrual cycle and they lose a lot of calcium.
Hmm.
So it increases bone density in women. It burns 500 calories per session.
And it
Protects women from
tightens
four different types of cancers who are actually lactating and breastfeeding.
and it tightens things up.
And it tightens things up.
I think
Now
I'm
the
gonna be
thing,
looking for somebody to breastfeed. I'm looking for a volunteer to breastfeed.
so it brings the vagina back to a pre-pregnancy state.
Wow.
So you have fenugreek, you have goat's rue, and that's RUE, goat's rue, blessed thistle, blessed thistle, and then you have fennel seed. Fennel seed. Fennel seed also, the thing about fennel seed is it will flatten the tummy because it will actually uh, activate the bowels. So you would lose weight and it will flatten your tummy. But fenugreek also has, I mean, fennel seed, I'm sorry, fennel seed actually is a galactagogue as well. You can find certain herbs in combination. They have like at Target something called mother's milk. It's a tea that you could drink. Or you can, take capsules that have these combinations in them, or you can just take fenugreek. And fenugreek is a mucilage, so it actually coats and lines your intestinal and your stomach. So it's good for ulcers as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
So breast milk is so powerful that it can correct vision, it can eliminate a sty. And back in the days, like in the early part of the wars, the women used to breastfeed the soldiers back to health.
Wow.
And all this stuff you can look up.
Wow.
Breast they used to use breast milk to disinfect a wound.
Really?
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
So when you I remember hearing Khalid Muhammad from the Nation of Islam. I'm not a member of the Nation of Islam, but I listen to anybody that's saying something that got some sense. I don't care what your belief is or your doctrine. Even if you're a atheist, if you said something that makes some sense, you said something that made some sense. Period.
Right.
You know, uh, and he said something we've all heard growing up that we heard from him, and I heard him say this in person. He said, "Oppose anything the enemy supports, and support anything the enemy opposes."
Mm-hmm. That's in the
So
art of
you have
war.
right. So you have to ask yourself, why are they so big on a baby being breastfed past 6 months and then transferred over to cow's milk? And you will never hear about the culture of other countries and their history of how they use breast milk in these forms in which I just presented to you. Like I say, in the United Kingdom, Nowadays, it's about 30% part of their culture. But prior to technology, it was at least 70% their culture that it was common for women to breastfeed their boyfriends or their husbands.
Really?
Yes.
And you said that this breast milk kills prostate cancer cells on contact.
Upon contact.
And we know that prostate cancer makes the penis die, pretty much.
Well, I mean, from the street point of view, you want to put it like that. So the thing about the prostate, it is a gland, and it's prone to swelling. It can swell. This can be from something as simple as lack of use because a lack of semen is traveling through it. Because believe it or not, a healthy flow of semen passing through the prostate or it being used to add to the fluid of the semen because it comes from the testicles, the kidneys, and the prostate. That can cause it to swell, or it could be a lack of a vitamin or a mineral like zinc. You
Mm.
know, it could be too much estrogen in the blood or too much cortisol, and then you can get what's called prostatitis, which is swelling of the prostate. And so you can develop prostate cancer, and teenage boys and men in their 20s don't develop prostate cancer. Men in their 40s in certain cultures and maybe in our culture in their 50s or 60s, they may develop prostate cancer, which could be stress. It could be something mental. It could be something spiritual. It could be diet. But nevertheless, breast milk kills prostate cancer cells upon contact.
That is amazing. And men are having all kind of surgeries that, further um, make them.
Debilitate them in the bed.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
When all they need is to get their woman to lactate and.
Right. I mean, it's a big thing because you have creams that kind of numb the nipple because women go through pain when they're lactating. Some of them do.
Oh yeah, that it can be. Yes,
Yeah,
it can be.
it can be painful, and there are creams that numb that. They prevent, a woman from feeling that pain. Some women, they don't have that situation. So, like I say, it varies from individual to individual. Um, but in any case, breastfeeding your man is not a fetish and it is not pervertish. It is in your Bible, and it is the healthiest and most one of the most sacred and intimate ways to bond with your partner.
Because you were saying that there's other benefits besides health benefits.
Yeah, I mean, aside from its benefits on both sides for men and women. So it contains oxytocin and prolactin. Now, oxytocin is known as the cuddle hormone or the love hormone.
Yep.
And as it says in the Bible, be intoxicated with her love, with her breast, and so where did that come from? How did they know that back then? That's just like if something is scientifically backed up and they had no technology of knowing these things, because there were no scientific labs back then to study breast milk during the time 2,000 years ago, during the time Jesus Christ walked the earth. So how did they know that you would be intoxicated by drinking with love by drinking a woman's breast milk? That part right there, it kind of makes you say, I don't know. I don't believe that was wrote by man. I think that actually did come from God because science backs it up. It makes you wonder. Yeah, they had no way of proving that. They didn't have microscopes back then. They were still living in tents and riding camels. So how could they have known that accurately? So when you think about that, and then you learn that breast milk contains these elements. Because if you're full of oxytocin and you're getting that oxytocin from that woman, you're going to feel like this bond with this woman. You're going to feel more connected. I've read on certain sites they call adult nursing relationships, and it's just me studying the culture. Because when you study health, it is like one of the most intriguing things ever. It's fascinating to learn this stuff. And so, out of my fascination of learning, I've learned that there are women and there are sites where women tell their stories about how they breastfed their husbands for 10 years or 15 or 20 years. And one story in particular that stuck out, and it was this woman who said that her husband would come home every day for lunch, and she can't describe the feeling she would get when she could see that he was stressed out, and he would come to her and suck on her breast for relief and then go back to work feeling totally different than he was when he came home.
Yeah, and I guess it's just our society and the norms that society established, which feeds into the pharmaceuticals and everything unhealthy as we see stuff going on now. But that just when you think of a man coming home for lunch to breastfeed, you almost overlook the part of he came in stressed and it relieved the stress. You almost overlook that part because you get stuck on this man was coming home to breastfeed.
Yeah, he was coming home, and so I've heard women complain like when my boyfriend or when my husband has a problem, he goes and he wants to be alone, or he goes and buys some beer, then drink, and he sits outside in his car and drinks beer, or he sits out in the front, or he goes in the back and smokes weed, smokes marijuana. And they ask, one in the man's point of view, well, why can't he come to me? Why can't he talk to me about it? Why can't he come to me so I can help him relieve his stress or his problem? And so I would imagine that if a woman felt like that man had a problem or he had something that was bothering him, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be breastfeeding, but just in conversation. But the fact that he feels like whatever is bothering me in this world on my journey, I'm coming to my baby. I'm coming to my wife. I'm coming to my girlfriend or my significant other. And then for her to know that she participated in relieving his stress, well, that makes her feel one appreciated and that she has value or worth
Right, to him, absolutely.
to him. To him, it's like, and then so she feels a particular way knowing. And what if he just calls and say, "Yeah, they getting on my nerve up here. I'm about ready to, go off on these people." And then he hears her soft voice and said, "No, don't do that, babe. Just come home. Mama got you. Just come home." You know how men and women call each other mom and daddy. So and because that's what it is. Women become our sisters. They become our wives. They're still our girlfriends, even though they're our wives. They become our mothers all in one. They become your friend, your sister, your mother, all of that in one. And so that motherly nature of hers doesn't die out because all the children are grown or she never had any children. Because they say men are babies when they get sick. You know what I'm saying? Men become big babies. But then, that's just that womanly nature wanting to nurture and nourish. And so you have an emotional and a physiological and a mental bond with this person. And you see that man stressed out, or you see, and so a woman, when she's really into her man, and man's into, his woman, she wants to see her man or her king at his best at all times. And then for her to know that she contributed to that, Oh, come on now. That's a confidence booster. That's and then he comes to her. He doesn't go to marijuana. He doesn't go to alcohol, or he doesn't confide in one of his friends. He comes to her, whether it's in conversation, whether it's just in simple affection, or it's through the bond of breastfeeding. And a lot of people relieve stress through intimacy, through sex.
Right.
And yes, that is a stress reliever. But then if you start having so much stress that you then, it takes away what the intimacy is really about. Yes, it does relieve stress, but if it's solely used for that, or then there's an imbalance. There's an imbalance there. So you have to keep everything in balance. And so um, intimacy and love making, part of that, is that men like to suck breasts. We like the way breasts look. That's why they have different variations. You have different types of breasts. You have different areola sizes. You have different nipple sizes, different colors, different sizes. And so they're not just ornaments of pleasure. Women are actually carrying around with them the capacity to heal in ways they've never been taught.
Mm-hmm.
And like the areola acts like a satellite dish. It picks up signals. It's not just some dark circle around the nipple. It picks up signals from the saliva of whomever is sucking on her breast. And whatever that person is lacking in vitamins or minerals, within 8 hours, her body produces it. And if she doesn't have it, she will crave it so she can eat it, so she can produce it. And within 8 hours, it'll start coming out in her milk.
Wow. The human body is pretty amazing,
It is. It is.
especially a
It's
woman's body. So with
yeah.
bringing life into the world, there's a lot of things. So, last year, and I'm hoping that we don't have to hear that crap this year, but last year a lot of men were like, you know, if I got my own this, that, and the other, what do I need with a woman? Well, it sounds like there's a lot of benefits that come with being a woman, and she can add to your life.
Well, united we stand, divided we fall. No human being has gotten here without conception of opposite sex. Period. Nothing in nature, well, hermaphroditic, but that's that species nature. But as far as mammals are concerned, and we are warm blooded that breastfeed our young, so there has to be an opposite exchange in order for the population of anything to continue. That is the design of nature. So if we start to feel on a social level, we don't need a woman or women don't need men, then divided we fall.
Right.
So it has to start with the brain because the brain controls the body, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you start to psychologically, so like if I go to the story of Adam and Eve, and I know some people don't believe this, but if you go to the story of Adam and Eve, there was a conversation that went on with Eve and the one that was rejected and kicked out. Let's just say that. We're not gonna say he was a serpent, we're not gonna say he was a bad, we're not gonna say he was a fallen angel. Whomever she spoke with. So psychologically, he convinced her to go against her own nature and the will of the creator that created. Because maybe he possessed more knowledge than her. So when you think about this, it's the same thing with our children and what they're doing to mold the children because we are made from clay. We're made from clay. and clay is to be molded. So you have to be careful of how you are being molded or how you're molding others based on how you were molded. You could be wounded. You could have, psychic trauma. You could have baggage. You can have, mental damage. And so when you come in contact with your children or your significant other, you're going to damage them, or you're going to heal them, or properly or improperly mold them based on how you were molded as clay. And
Okay.
everything is constantly molding you. Your mind is being directed to a certain direction, you know, like we were taught growing up. Go to school, get an education, get a job, retire. That's a molding. We were molded into doing that. But now people are breaking the mold and they're like, to hell with a 9 to 5. I want to get rich.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so if your parents raised you with a lot of toxicity and they were screaming and hollering and and cussing at you, well, guess what you're gonna do to your kids?
More than likely, unless you can
Exactly.
recognize it early enough to break it, but that's not what usually happens.
That's not what usually happens. And so you have to understand we are all clay. So careful of how you were molded and how you are molding others. And you have to be aware of how you were molded, because a lot of people don't think about these things.
Right.
This was part of your molding,
Yep.
and your molding is every day. You're constantly, because we grow from conception, a sperm and an egg, and then that clay develops in the womb for 9 months, and then that clay, it goes from a baby to an adolescent, from childhood to adolescent to an adult to middle age to senior citizen and old age. And there's a different shapes and forms that it takes, because that is the clay constantly molding all the way until it's in.
Yeah, it's it's funny when you look back over life and you see all of the different people that you've been. We have a big box of pictures because you know me, so we have a whole lot of transition that has gone on in my family over the past few years, and so I've been
Hmm.
trying to keep all of the pictures and memories together. So I've been collecting the photo albums and even just random pictures in a box, and every once in a while I'll look through some of those pictures and I see all the different, not only the different phases of me. I look back and there's some pictures. I'm like, oh wow, that's me. I don't even remember that. You know,
Right,
I was that person, and she looks like she's about 15 with a cowboy hat on. You know, but that was me at that stage in life. And I look at my parents, of course. Now my dad's not here, and I see him from back when he was, hanging out in the clubs and stuff. And I remember him. I've told you stories. I remember him as an older man being a little grumpy amongst other things. All the
right,
different people that we are throughout a lifetime. That's pretty
right.
amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the most important things we have to do is, like, God, nature told us the blueprint, but the powers that be doesn't want us to know the blueprint. And it's just natural. You become pregnant, you start developing milk, you know that milk goes inside that baby. So God is giving you the jump start of jump starts. So a cow doesn't have to be very intelligent. So a cow's milk is designed to make the body bigger, stronger, to carry all that weight.
Right.
Cows don't invent cars. Animals don't invent cars or wear clothes or have to study pathogens. When they get sick, we have to see what's wrong with them. They don't do it on themselves. They don't study the nature. They just know how to hunt and mate. They hunt and they mate. They mark their territory, they hunt and they mate.
So are you saying
So,
that them encouraging cow's milk is to dumb down?
well, pretty much. I mean, the mammal's milk. is designed for that mammal. And
Mhm.
like I said before, a cow has 4 stomachs.
Mhm.
You only have one stomach. I don't know the total digestive process of a cow, but I know that I'm lacking 3 stomachs for me to be drinking cow milk. But
Right.
see, they're not going to encourage you to drink breast milk because it develops the brain.
And that's
Breast
probably why
milk
we only use
develops
a small
brain.
percentage of our brain.
Right. And then they say they all everyone knows that, like again, this is common knowledge. So it's common knowledge that children that are breastfed are smarter.
Yep.
People know this is common knowledge. They get sick less.
Yep. Yep.
They have a closer bond to their mother because of the what? Oxytocin.
I believe that's definitely true because with my girls, no matter how much we might disagree on something, we have a bond that is just unbreakable. It's just there.
Right. And you poured over 300 stem cells in their body. So you gave them the jump start of jump starts with that breast milk. Dr. Sears, like Sears and Roebuck, there are 2 doctors. There's a man and a woman. They're a husband and wife team. They have this book called the Breastfeeding Book. And I think it's out of print, but you might find it on half.com or, Amazon or whatever. The Breastfeeding Book by Dr. Sears. They actually breastfed their last child who had Down syndrome out of his Down syndrome.
Really? So
So
breast
breast
milk,
milk can reverse Down syndrome and it can reverse retardation
really?
if you breastfeed extensively enough. But we're talking about it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, it may vary. But according to those 2 doctors, it's in that book.
Okay. So
So this is how powerful breast milk is. And so, ladies, it's not a fetish, it's not perverted. If your man wants to breastfeed, and if you have the times, I know women work now, and women, have or they're single mother, whatever. But if it's something you want to try, and you're done having children, you can still lactate, even
what
though
were those
you
herbs that you said they could take? Fennel seed?
the herbs are fenugreek. That's Fenugreek. Fenugreek. Fennel seed. Fennel seed. Fennel seed. Goat's rue. Rue. Goat. Goats plural. Goat's rue. Blessed thistle. Blessed thistle. That's Thistle. Blessed thistle.
Okay. You should put that information in the group once we finish this show. So overall, you've said that breastfeeding your man um, can help with his health. Breast milk kills prostate cancer cells on contact. It
Mm-hmm.
helps with the bond between a man and a woman. It can relieve stress, and that a woman does not have to give birth in order to lactate, that there are herbs that she could take in order to do so.
That's
Now,
correct.
this breastfeeding, this breast milk, so the breast, is it the act of breastfeeding or is it the actual breast milk? Because can a woman then pump, as we were talking about time, if she were to pump the breast milk, he could have it whenever he wanted to. I'm sure that it is a much more interesting, exciting activity when done directly from breast to man, but I'll just keep my little thoughts to myself.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if a woman wants to pump her milk, she can, of course, by all means. I mean, if she wants to store it, put it in the refrigerator, if that is something that the man wants to use as part of his smoothie, or he wants to eat his cereal or put it in his oatmeal, whatever. That's all very, encouraged.
Do
Either
you know
way,
any men that breastfeed from their wives? Do you know any men personally?
personally, I do not know any, but I've read many stories. I've read them in books, I've read them on websites, and I've seen it in. Uh, that's pretty it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Because this is it's an interesting concept. I know that breast milk is definitely powerful. Um, the fact that it kills prostate cancer on contact is really a big deal because
Hmm.
cancers of various sorts are like running rampant throughout the United States. And clearly it's definitely something in the foods that we eat. And as you mentioned, the cow's milk, we know that ugh, cow's milk also has pus, the cow pus in it, which is just a gross, disgusting thought in itself. And I think it would be a good thing if, we could get a movement back toward more natural things versus so much animal product inside of us because, that's saying you are what you eat. And we're eating pigs and cows and all that stuff. So I think a return to nature would be good. I'm just wondering how we could really promote this more because again, that prostate cancer
Well,
really has me.
hmm and I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. And so again, like the part about you said about pork and cow's milk having pus, it also contains a lot of mucus along with that pus. Now we know pus comes from the white blood cells of the body fighting an infection. So what is it that this cow or these cows are infected with that is coming out, or it has so much pus that it's even coming out in the milk? So it's not just the pus, but that's a result of the immune system of that animal trying to fight something. And so, just like with the pig, again, when they say that the Bible was written by men, but then why is it now that we are in this day and age discovering over the past 10 or 20 years the detriments of eating pork? Again, there were no scientific instruments to prove how bad pork was for you. But now it's coming out that that's the filthiest animal that you could consume.
Right.
So, you got to kind of look at these things from a different perspective. So, yes, it's not encouraged. You may get talked about, there's no support system. So, you have to be strong if you're going to do this. And you probably have to keep it to yourself if this is what you and your man are sharing. Because it's not going to be encouraged, and you're not going to be able to call your girlfriend and talk to her about it because she's going to probably think y'all weird.
And that's so horrible that when you do things the natural way and not the way that Western medicine dictates to you, because right about now, Western medicine is dictating everything to a lot of people. You don't even have a choice. Like you don't have a choice about how to control your own health anymore. And it's so sad that we're at this point where the things that are natural, healing, and healthy for us, those things are you're frowned upon and looked at like you crazy. Oh, you're not gonna take that shot that they don't know what the hell is in it, but and it doesn't
Right.
change anything, but you're not gonna take the shot anyway because they told you to.
I had read a meme. It's interesting you say that. I read a meme recently where you can offer somebody something unnatural and unhealthy, and they will not ask you a single question about it. But as soon as you offer them something healthy, they got 100 questions just about what it is.
It's crazy. It's just crazy.
This is an all natural, gluten free, sugar free, naturally sweetened muffin. Well, how it tastes? Well, what's it made with? How does it get sweet if it ain't made with sugar? They're gonna come up with all these questions
Right.
as to what's in it because it's healthy. But see, again, there it is with the molding.
But
Control the mind, you control the body.
you let freaking mass media come and say, yeah, let us stick this stuff in your arm. Well, yeah, we threw it together in 6 months, and it's not going to stop you from getting anything. It's not going to stop you from passing anything. It's, it doesn't change any of the projections from not getting the shot to getting the shot, except they tell them that, oh, if you don't have the shot, you're 5 times more likely to die. How is that when the freaking, okay, I'm getting off topic a little bit, but I'm just saying, it just amazes me how, if you breastfeed your man, if y'all have a breastfeeding thing going on, it's looked down on, it's a fetish, it's sexual, it's this, it's that, it's the other. But
But see, they're going to show you the wisdom of God. And that's why it's in the Bible. So for anybody who wants to say it is a fetish, then why did God say it in your Bible? If you are a Christian and this is your belief, why did God say it in the Bible? So you can't refute, and no one in their right mind is going to openly call God a liar. So how is it that God is telling you to do it in your Bible, and then you turn around and say it's a fetish or something is wrong with doing it? That just debunks all of that. That refutes that argument right there.
well, he said, don't eat the pig.
And he
And
said, "Don't eat the pig," and then they sit at the table and they bless that pig.
right. And then they get sick from the pig, but you can't tell them that it's the pig because the
No,
pig is the other white meat. Lord
no,
have mercy.
right? Because people are taste trained. Well, if as long as it tastes good, they're going to eat it. Well, see, people don't understand. If there was a dietary law in heaven, there's a dietary law on earth. The dietary law in heaven was don't eat from that tree. That's a dietary law. So the dietary law on earth is don't eat the pig.
Right.
People don't understand that. There's a dietary law in heaven, there's one on earth as well. And so to wrap this up, breast milk also contains the only element that fights HIV. It kills HIV.
What?
Yes. Granted, the mother doesn't have HIV already. If the mother doesn't have, the woman doesn't have HIV, it contains an element that kills HIV. So they will never, especially with population control and biological warfare and everything else, it also contains an element that kills the coronavirus.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, they
You're
knew
going to have to dig to find it, but just think, take the word corona out. It's a virus. What is the cold? A virus. What is the flu? A virus. What
right,
is influenza? A virus.
right, right. They're able to get all of this fear going on because people don't know, they don't study their own health. They just go to the doctor. It's a lot like religion because a lot of people don't study anything. They don't read a Bible, they don't read anything. They go to the church and let the preacher tell them what's going on. And that's exactly how people handle their health. They don't study anything. They go to the doctor and let the doctor tell them, well, the doctor is getting paid, buddy. Okay? The doctor is getting
Yeah.
paid and he's getting uh, money on the backside to push certain new drugs that come out. I was fighting with them, not fighting with them, but at the nursing home where my mom is, it's a new drug. I'm sure he's getting paid for it. They want to give it to my mama. Well, why? Does anybody ever ask the question why? What does it do? What's the side effects? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are just about at that point where our next guest should be popping in any moment. So what would you like to say to wrap it up? Is it possible for you to just kind of go over the benefits of a
Mm-hmm.
woman breastfeeding her man? Just go over those
Okay.
benefits one more time.
So it protects a woman from 4 different types of cancer: endometrial cancer, cervical cancer, vaginal cancer, uterine cancer, and breast cancer. Oh, that's 5. I'm sorry. It burns 500 calories, so it's a natural weight loss. It increases bone density in women. It fights erectile dysfunction, kills prostate cancer cells upon contact, kills HIV, kills viruses. It is a bond between a man and a woman. It can improve your eyesight, the healthiness of your eyes,
Wow.
and it can cure a sty. Also, it can disinfect wounds. You can bring someone back to health through breastfeeding. It contains over 300 stem cells. They're all found in breast milk. You can change the flavor of breast milk based on what you eat. You can change the color. If you drink carrot juice, you can make your breast milk orange. You want chocolate milk or strawberry milk? Eat strawberries or eat some cacao.
Quit playing.
I am not joking with you. You want your breast milk to taste a particular way, like with your foods. This is why it's encouraged for women to have a variety of foods that they eat while they're pregnant, because it comes out in the flavor of the milk for the child. So when the child grows up, they have a wide palate for different types of taste.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to get creative with it, you can even get creative with it. But I encourage you, if you know you have the backbone and the courage and you're not worrying about what other people think and you want to actually try this, try breastfeeding your man, see what happens. Breastfeed your husband, see what happens.
Well, when I get a man, because I'm gonna get me one this year. It's a new year. I'm gonna stay positive. When I get one, I'm gonna see about this breastfeeding thing. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we gonna be bonded with that oxytocin. I'm not gonna be the
Hmm.
only one crazy on oxytocin because women, we automatically create it when we orgasm, and that just that's the love drug for you.
Well,
So,
it increases a whole lot of intimacy. It's more intensified. If this man is full of this oxytocin and love and passion towards you, and your vagina is tighter, and he has a belly full of your milk, the fact that you all psychologically bonded this way, spiritually bonded this way, you're going to express that physically, and it's going to be that much more intensified.
mm, okay. All right, Mr. Ali. As usual, you have been very informative, and I always learn a lot when you do your shows. You and Eric are just great. So I just want to say for the listeners that today is January 3rd, and if you are listening to a replay of this show, be sure you catch the live shows on Mondays from 7 to 9 a.m., Thursdays and Fridays from 12 to 2. So you have any final words? When is your next show?
My next show is the first Monday of next month, and then on that show, I am going to talk about cell salts, and this is something you all probably are not used to hearing or knowing about, but I'm dealing with something pertaining to your individual makeup, and it's connected to the the health factors of your zodiac and your physiology in your body, which a lot of people don't know that those are actually connected. So you don't want to miss that show. It's going to be very deep and interesting. It's going to be a lot of information that you've never heard before about health. So please tune in.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Samir Ali. And we look
Hmm.
forward to your next show on Sales Salts on February. I don't know what the actual date is, but the first Monday in February. So we will chat with you then.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Have a good one.